All right, so welcome to 6.4. So we've learned how to solve a system with graphing and with the method of substitution. And now we're going to do real world problems that are best solved with the substitution method. But you could also graph them, and you'll see that today. All right, so this is from earlier in the year. Two cars start at the same place and travel in opposite directions. One drives 50 miles per hour and the other drives 60 miles per hour. How many hours will it take them to be 440 miles apart? All right, so this is from rate times time equals distance, but we have two rates, right? So we have two rates, only one time, and we did this earlier in the year. So one is going 50 miles per hour. So in 1 hour, it'll go 50. If a t is 2, it will go 100. 3, it'll go 150. The other one is going 60 miles per hour, and they're driving at exactly the same time. And we have a total distance of 440 miles. Combine like terms, that's where we learn this. Divide 1 by 110 both sides. We can cross out the 0. And in 4 hours, the two cars will be this 440 miles apart. Okay, so let's take that to the next level today. Right, so we're going to have those car problems, right? We did these earlier in the year. They start back to back and they go in opposite directions, but it could be planes, it could be trains. As long as they're going in opposite directions, we're going to be adding the rates, right? As long as they're going in opposite directions, we add the rates. Yes, if we were going in the same direction, we subtract with the bigger rate, faster rate first. Okay, so let's see what we're doing today. It says, I'm reading from the example, two cars leave at the same time and travel in opposite directions. Okay, the speed of one car is twice the speed of another. Oh, okay. So instead of calling this rate 1 and rate 2, let's call this car A, and that I'm going to call that's the speed of the faster car. Okay, and B will be the speed in miles per hour of the slower car. All right, so then we're going to have two equations here. I can already see that. How can I see that? Well, there's one equation right there. The speed of one car is twice the speed of the other. Okay, so using A and B, let's try to write an equation for that. The speed of one car is twice the speed of the other. Well, A equals 2 times B, right? A is the faster car, so its speed is twice the slower car. That's our first equation. Now let's do another equation, I have a feeling. If they are 324 miles apart after 4 hours, what was the average speed of each car? All right, so we know D, right? We know 324. Interestingly, instead of like the warm-up, we know T, right? We know T is 4 for both of them. They both drove 4 hours. What we don't know is how fast they were driving. So the ones we did earlier, we knew how fast they were driving, and we were finding how long it took them to get a certain amount of miles apart. Now we know how long they're driving, and we're trying to find out how fast each one was driving. Now, when you have two unknowns like this, you're almost always going to have two equations. Okay, we have one, so we need a second one. And what is the second one? It's this. It's 4a, right? Now, this is a4, but we never write a4. We always write the coefficient in front, right? It's a times 4, which is 4a. So the other one would be b times 4, but we're not going to write that. We're going to write 4b equals 324, right? So let's look at what we did. We took this word problem. We know two things. We know the faster car goes twice the speed of the slower. We know they were both driving for 4 hours, and they got 324 miles apart. All right, so let's see, can we figure out the speed of both cars? Yes, let's use substitution, right? So this 2b equals that a, so it must equal that a, right? Substitution, we're replacing that a with 2b. So let's change colors here. So we have 4, and then we're going to put 2b in there, right? And so when I put 2b in there, I get 8b, right? And so it's 8b plus 4b, right? Do I have to write that out? Hopefully not, because I don't have room. 12b, right? 4 times 2b is 8b, plus 4 more b is 12b, equals 324. Divide both sides by 12. All right, now we have to do 324 divided by 12. Let's do that. Well, 12 goes into 32 twice because it's 24. And then we get 8 and bring down the 4. 12 goes in 84, 7, exactly 7. And so what does that mean? B was going 27 what? How speed of a car? Well, does it say miles, hours? Oh, it must be miles per hour. So B is going 27 miles per hour, but we're not done. Remember, the solution to a system is an ordered pair. Now, this is not an ordered pair in the way we're going to write it, but we have to find the other part of it, right? A is twice B, right? So it's 27 times 2, and 27 times 2, I believe, is 54 miles per hour, right? So when you have two pieces of information, you're going to be writing two equations, and we are going to solve them today using the substitution method. So these are called motion problems, and they're best solved by substitution. Okay, so let's see another one. Two cars are 312 miles apart. They leave at the same time traveling directly toward each other. That's still opposite directions, right? So we're going to be adding opposite directions. That's the key. And they meet in 4 hours, so that's our T. If the speed of one car is 8 miles less than the other, okay. So A is the faster car. That's just me making that up. Faster car, the speed of the faster car, I should write. And B will be the speed of the slower car. Speed of slower. So let's write our first equation. It's this last sentence. If the speed of one car is 8 miles per hour less, right? So B's the slower one. It's 8 miles. You can't do 8 minus 8A. You'll get a negative, right? It's 8 miles less than the faster car. A minus 8. All right, then we need our rate, that same equation, rate times time equals distance, right? So then we're trying to find A and B, and we know they're going 4 hours again. So it's 4A plus 4B, and they went a total of 312 miles, right? They started 312 miles apart. We want to know when they reach each other. So we have our two equations. Now we're going to substitute. We've done the hard part. So that equals B, right? So that goes where B is. Make sure you know what you're doing. B is the speed of the slower one. So we have A minus 8 goes for B equals 312. We're going to distribute. We get 4A plus 4 more A minus 32 equals 312. We get 8A minus 32 equals 312. We add 32 to both sides. 8A equals 344. Divide both sides by 8. So we have to do 344 divided by 8. Well, 8 goes into 34 4 times because it's 32. Bring down the 4. 8 goes into 24 3 times. Ah, the speed of, right, this is A. A is 43 miles per hour. Now let's remember, B is the slower one. It's that minus 8. That minus 8 is 35 miles per hour. Right? Those speeds are the only way this all happens. Right? They're all like this. Right? Warren is running 1 mile an hour slower than Fred. All right, so we could use A and B, but let's use W for Warren's speed. Right? And we'll use F for Fred's speed. Okay, so Warren is running 1 mile per hour slower than Fred. So Fred's the faster one. So W is F minus 1, right? If you do 1 minus F, you're going to get negatives. No. Okay. After running 2 hours in opposite directions from the same starting location, they're 18 miles apart. Okay, so W, and they're both going for 2 hours. 2F, right? Warren ran for 2 hours, Fred ran for 2 hours, and they got 18 miles apart. That same pattern equation. All right, so that is F minus 1 equals W. Remember, we need our parentheses. So we're going to do distributive property. 2F minus 2 plus 2F equals 18. 4F minus 2 equals 18. Add 2. 4F equals 20. Divide by 4. F equals 5 miles per hour. For running, that's slow, by the way. That's like fast walking. All right, and Warren, though, is even slower. All right, so 5 miles in an hour. And so, yeah, but they're running for 2 whole hours. So, yes, I think that makes sense. Warren's is 1 mile less. I don't think I have to show the work. It's 4 miles per hour. All right, so 2 cars leave at the same time from the same place and travel in the same direction. All right, so these cars are going in the same direction. So that means that they're racing each other like this, okay? We'll call A the faster car and B the slower car. All right, and that's the speed of those. Okay. Speed of one car is double the speed of the other. So A equals 2B. That's the easy part of this, hopefully. All right, and we need that second equation, right? But it's going to be this with a minus in it because they're not going in opposite directions. And we got to put the faster car first. Have to. So it's 4 hours they're going. So 4A minus 4B equals 60 miles apart, right? They're racing. So one is already 60 miles apart. That's going way faster. Well, it's going twice as fast. Okay, so let's do a little substitution. This 2B is equal to A, so we're just going to put that there. And if you don't do this correctly, you'll get negatives or weird answers. So you get 8B minus 4B, which is 4B again. 4B equals 60. Divide by 4. B equals 4 goes into 60, 15. So B is going 15 miles per hour. A is going twice that, 30 miles per hour. All right, so I put this one in there just so you understand what's causing the plus and minus, right? When they're going in opposite directions, doesn't matter if they're going away from each other or toward each other, we're adding the two rates together. But if they're going in the same direction, right, it takes a lot more for them to get farther and farther apart. You're finding the difference in their speeds. Okay. Right, so this one is going to be substitution, but it's not a rate problem. The length of a rectangle is triple its width. All right, so the length of a rectangle is triple its width. L equals 3W. If the perimeter is 72 inches, well, how do you find a perimeter? Right, you add up the sides. L plus W plus W, right? We add up the two up, and so hopefully you wrote that as 2L plus 2W equals 72. Right, and then you substitute 3W for that L, right? And 6W plus 2W, 8W equals 72. Divide by 8, and 8 goes in 7, so it's 9. Did I say inches? Yes, I did. 9 inches. So that means these W's are both 9 inches, right? And it says length is 3 times that, so these must be 27 inches. Right, perimeter is add up all the sides, and those better all add up to 72 inches, or I've made a mistake. Looks exactly the same, the method's the same, but these coefficients are no longer a time, and these answers are no longer rates, but it's still substitution. Here's another example. A bag contains 156 red, and we're telling us to use R for red, and green plastic toys. There are twice as many red toys as green. So red equals 2 times green, right? How many are red and how many are green? All right, now this is actually easier. There's no rates, there's no coefficients. It just says there's 156 total toys. So what's the second equation? Pause and see if you can write the second equation. Yeah, it's just R plus G equals 156. Don't make it harder than that. There's a total of 156 toys. Some are red and green, and apparently there's no blue. All right, or if there is blue, they're not in the 156, right? And we know that red is twice as much as green. So we can just substitute that for that, and we get 2G plus G equals 156, or 3G equals 156. Divide both sides by 3. 3 goes into 15, 5, and I think we can do that in our head. And it's 52 green toys, right? Now, red has to be twice as much. You could put it in either one. It has to be twice as much. So I believe that's 104 red toys. And that better add up to 156. And I got to spell toys correctly. All right, let's keep practicing. Two planes take off in opposite directions. We always need to check for that. One travels 130 miles faster than the other. So A is the faster, right? I'm just consistent speed. B is the slower. So A is B plus 130, right? Could you write B equals A minus 130? You can. Absolutely. I think that's harder. Could you write A equals 130 plus B? Yes. Commutative property. All right. And so 4 hours. So they're both driving for 4 hours. And the distance is 1,800 miles apart. So that goes where A is. So we have 4 times B plus 130. Really, the writing of the equations is the whole thing. After that, it's the same old over and over again. 130 times 4, I'm getting 520 plus 4b equals 1,800. All right, so we get 8b. We're going to subtract 520 from both sides, and we're going to get 0. We're going to borrow and get 8. We're going to get 1,280. We're going to divide both sides by 8. All right, 1,280 divided by 8 goes once into 12. Bring down the 8. 6 into 48, but we have that extra 0. And so B equals 160. What was this? This was miles per hour, the speed. Now B was the slower one. A is 130 miles faster. So we have to add 130 right there to 160. 130 plus 160. A is 290 miles per hour. Two runners are running in the same direction from the same starting point. Karen, so let's use K for Karen, runs double the speed of Veronica. K equals 2V. All right, after running 2 hours, they are 12 miles apart. So now Karen is the faster one, so she has to go first or you end up with wrong answers. All right, so that's 2 hours, so that's where that set next to comes from. They're both running for 2 hours, and they get 12 miles apart. Since they're in the same direction, and I underlined it, try to not let you just sit there and put plus. Okay, so you put there, 2 times 2v minus 2v equals 12. 4v minus 2v is 2v equals 12. Divide by 2. V equals 6 miles per hour for Veronica, and Karen is twice that, or 12 miles per hour. Okay. Final question. The length of a rectangle is 4 times its width. If the perimeter is 80, so we're going to add L plus L, 2L, plus W plus W, 2W, equals 80. That was 2L plus 2W equals 80. When it's a rectangle, that's what you end up with, 2L plus 2W. But if you had 5 sides, you could have 3 L's and stuff like that. It works for any shape, right? For all perimeters, for all shapes, you add up the sides. We're going to substitute, so we get 2 times 4W plus 2W. Well, that's 8W plus 2W. I think we can all do that in our head. 10W equals 80. Divide by 10. W equals 8. And this is inches? Yes, inches. Okay, so we have 8 inches there. We have 8 inches there. And the length is 4 times that. So that's 4 times 8, 32 inches. And all those numbers better add up to 80. Okay, good luck with the homework.